So happy Liberation Day, Trump Liberation Day, which means many people are being liberated from their jobs because of his tariffs. Thanks for subscribing. If you are subscribed, if you're not, I hope you hit that button and tell your friends so we can keep doing this. So, yeah, he really did it. The tariffs, he really did it. Some people thought he wouldn't do it because it makes no sense. It's going to hurt the economy. It's going to crash the economy. People will lose jobs. And they actually thought that was a reason why Trump wouldn't do it. Well, anyway, it's insane. But I want to talk about the tariffs, but in the context of what I'd like to talk about a lot is when we see a pinprick of light with Republicans in Congress pushing back, because I keep saying, we with Democrats having so little power or no power, we have We the People, and we're all going to be going to our protest this Saturday, right? At your state capitol in Washington, D.C., or in your small town. I'm going. I will be there. I will take video and share it. So I think people who have never been politically active before are doing this because we are seeing results, but it takes a while and it is hard work, but it's happening. So congrats to everybody. This is breaking news. Senators on the Republican front, this is Republicans doing things that we need them to do. We have Senator Chuck Grassley is joined with Democratic Senator Maria Cantwell. They introduced a bipartisan bill to reassert Congress's authority over tariffs. It requires the president to notify Congress within 48 hours of imposing new tariffs, which would expire unless Congress approves them within 60 days. Those are the safety nets that we need. That's why we have three branches of government and not a king. Okay? So this is good news. And Chuck Grassley, I think, finally realizes that maybe this MAGA guy isn't so great, even though Chuck Grassley is about 150 years old. It probably shouldn't be in the Senate anymore. Also, the Senate yesterday voted 51-48. The Republican-led Senate. The Senate voted 51-48 to pass a resolution blocking Trump's Canadian tariffs from taking effect. 4 Republicans, this is what I like, Susan Collins, Mitch McConnell, Rand Paul, and Lisa Murkowski joined all 47 Democrats in supporting the measure. So again, we have 4 Republicans. The Rand Paul thing is an outlier. He probably did it for some weird libertarian reason, not because he cares about the country or is concerned about Trump. But Susan Collins, she's taken a well-deserved hit for supporting the nomination and the confirmation of Brett Kavanaugh. She infamously is like, "Oh, we think he's learned his lesson," with Trump. Lisa Murkowski, Republican senator from Alaska, and she's generally fairly reliable as a rhino. And Mitch McConnell, we see Mitch McConnell voting this way. I think Mitch McConnell, in his own way, loves his country. He's misguided a lot. He's been a little sleazy in the past, as we know. But I think he now understands that the asterisk by his name in the history books is not going to be a good one. And think about that. You serve in Congress, you serve in office decades, you dedicate your life to this. And whether you agree with someone's politics or not, you generally think, well, they at least think they're doing the right thing. They love their country and they're loyal to the country. He let himself get rolled by MAGA and by Trump. And the result was he didn't do his job, kind of like Merrick Garland, except I think there's more nefarious reasons for Garland, believe it or not. Mitch McConnell got outgunned. Mitch McConnell was in denial. I think he'd been in the Senate for so long and the House before that he simply didn't understand how serious this was. He arrogantly thought that he could control this. He could out strategize Trump or whatever. Or he failed to appreciate just how evil and corrupt and traitorous Trump was. I think Mitch McConnell knows that now. And that's why he's increasingly voting against Trump on some of these things. Also, he's retiring, so he didn't care. So I think that's important. But I do want to watch how Republicans act with some of this stuff, because they're going to be our last defense. And I've said this before, that I think that a lot of times throughout this era of Trump, the more establishment Republicans in office were secretly hoping that Democrats were going to be able to take care of this. They were secretly hoping that voters would take care of this because they felt they had to, they're chicken, spineless. So they had to publicly support Trump. But remember, after January 6th, when people thought, well, he's done, he lost the election, he clearly started this insurrection. He's clearly guilty on all counts, and everybody could see it. And they were putting out statements saying so. They wanted to be rid of this guy, and they wanted to go on the record separating themselves, distancing themselves from Trump and the domestic terrorists who attacked our Capitol, resulting in the deaths of police officers. And they tried to assassinate Mike Pence, Nancy Pelosi, and others. So it was after that when it looked like Trump was going to survive because there was not swift and decisive action on the legal front or the law enforcement front. And so they all had to back down and get back in line. All right. Now they may see things differently, talking about invading Greenland, being smart enough to understand this is Putin's plan. Arctic Passage, doing this with Canada, probably taking Alaska and literally having Putin up there on our northern border, this huge border, which basically means then he has the United States. And this might be further along than we understand, but it's clearly a strategy because nothing else Trump is doing makes sense. So I'm looking also, JP Morgan says Donald Trump's tariffs represent, quote, the largest tax increase since the Revenues Act of 1968 and could push the U.S. economy, quote, perilously close to slipping into recession by driving up inflation and crippling consumer spending. By the way, if you check the stocks reports today, it's nosedived. Everything is in trouble. Anyway, protect your principal. That's what I did. Protect your principal in your investments. The Wall Street Journal editorial board, again, owned by Rupert Murdoch, who also owns the New York Post and Fox News and Fox Business News, says the cost in lost American influence will be considerable. Mr. Trump thinks the lure of the U.S. market and American military power are enough to bend countries to his will. But soft power also matters, and that includes being able to trust America's word as a reliable ally and trading partner. Mr. Trump is shattering that trust as he pushes allies and blows up the USMCA that he negotiated in his first term. Also, the reason people don't trust Trump on this, and of course those reasons are many, he's insane and he's stupid. He's dumb as a mud fence. He imposed tariffs on uninhabited Heard and McDonald Islands, an Australian territory, and one of the most remote places on Earth, and he slapped them with a 10% reciprocal tariff. There's no people that live there. There's no anything to have a tariff on. But I think that Trump saw the name McDonald's, and he thinks that's somehow, those franchises with burgers and fish sandwiches, not that he'd ever eat fish. So he's thinking burgers and shakes and fries. He thought that. Come on. He thought that. That's why he did this. So he's an idiot, and he's evil, and he's a traitor. And he is purposely tanking this economy. There simply is no other answer. No other answer. No other possibility. You can look around every corner. And increasingly, that's what economists and others who know about this stuff are saying. This is inexplicable, as are many of his actions. Most of his actions, all of his actions in the past 2 months and 1 week. Unless you understand that he works for Putin. That's the only thing you need to know. Nobody is understanding these tariffs. Nobody agrees with them. Everybody agrees that they're bad. At his press conference, he held up a list of all the countries that he was imposing tariffs on. And you know what country wasn't on there? Russia. Think about that. Stay tuned.